Imagine paying for a whole computer that sits idle 90% of the time because you only need it for 3 minutes of traffic surge. Physical servers are like overbooked hotels. You pay for every empty bed even when no one checks in. And when the lobby floods, you still can't rent rooms you don't own. Virtualization is the trick of slicing one physical machine into many smaller, isolated virtual machines, VMs. Each VM thinks it's a full computer, CPU, memory, disk, network, while sharing the real hardware invisibly. Hypervisor boots first. The hypervisor is a lean OS that sits directly on bare metal. On x86, it's often KVM or VMware ESC. It owns the CPU's virtualization extensions called Intel VTX or the MDV. CPU rings get repurposed. Ring 0, kernel, is now the hypervisor. Guests run in ring 1 or ring 3, but every sensitive instruction is trapped and emulated in software or handled by the hardware extensions. Memory ballooning and shadow paging. The hypervisor assigns each VM a chunk of RAM and uses shadow page tables to map guest virtual addresses to host physical addresses without TLB flushes every switch. I/O virtualization splits the NIC. A single 100 gigabits per second NIC is carved into virtual functions, VFs, using SRIOV. Each VM gets its own PCIe virtual device, so packets go straight to the guest without crossing the hypervisor. Storage looks like real disks, but isn't. A VM's disk is a 2 gigabytes thin provisioned VMDK file on a shared 7,200 revolutions per minute array, yet the guest sees it as a SCSI device with 512-byte sectors. Snapshots are copy-on-write deltas. When you hit Take Snapshot, the hypervisor flips a bitmap and starts logging changes in 4 kilobytes blocks. Rolling back is just swapping the bitmap pointer. Live migration moves a VM while running. vMotion copies 4 kilobytes pages in the background while the VM's CPU context is synced. Downtime is under 100 milliseconds for a 8 vCPU / 32 gigabytes guest. Security isolation via VD. PCI pass-through gives a VM direct access to a GPU, but VEDS IOMU prevents it from snooping on other VMs' DMA traffic. Netflix spins up 10,000 VMs on AWS every Friday at 8 p.m. Each VM runs a microservice that handles one movie segment. The hypervisor schedules 10 milliseconds CPU bursts for each VM. Memory is backed by 25 gigabits per second EBS volumes striped across 40 hosts. When Stranger Things drops, the autoscaler launches 500 more VMs in 90 seconds. No new hardware, just slices of existing hosts. Misconception: containers are VMs without the OS. Correction: containers share a kernel and therefore cannot run different OSes. They virtualize the process namespace and file system, not the full hardware state. A Windows container still needs a Windows host kernel. Virtualization lets one rack of servers host hundreds of isolated computers, each paying only for the exact CPU cycles, RAM, and disk it actually uses, turning idle iron into elastic cloud power. Subscribe to TechWithJoel. Every day I break down the invisible machinery that powers the apps you use. Which cloud service do you think wastes the most idle cycles? Subscribe to TechWithJoel.